Hello YouTube, Marcus Aurelius here. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to disassemble the Sig Sauer P320 and clean it. You will need some earbuds or cotton swabs, the appropriate caliber of bore brush, in this case it is 40 cal, a toothbrush or scrubbing brush, clean patches, a cleaning rod, an appropriate gun cleaner or gun solvent, an application brush, and some gun oil in order to get the job done. Hope you enjoy the video, hope you find it helpful. Another thing you may want to have is a couple of gun rags, something that's absorbent and can wipe off any excess oil, and a good source of light. You may also want to have some nitrile gloves to keep these nasty things from getting on you, nasty chemicals. I like to wear them, but it's your own personal preference. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, I wouldn't normally have a magazine in here when I bring it home from the range. I do not keep my magazines in, but and this is not my everyday carry. So the first thing we need to do is treat every gun as a loaded gun. Also keep the gun pointed in a safe direction, and we'll begin by clearing the weapon. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop the magazine. Magazine is empty. Place that to the side, and we're going to go ahead and open her up, and we can see that there's nothing down inside the chamber or inside the magazine itself. Alright, so we're clear. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to lock it back into that position, and on the P320 it's similar also to the Springfield XD. All you have to do is rotate this little locking mechanism right here, and you do not have to pull the trigger or anything on the P320. You just release and the whole thing slides right off. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to do that again. For those that may have just bought one of these and have never owned a semi-auto before, it's always good to do it twice. We have what is a slide lock right here that we're going to push up on as we pull the slide back, and it's going to go up into this little groove right here. I don't know if you can see it. I think the lighting is kind of poor right there. Let's get this out of the way. See if that helps. Okay, so there's a little groove right here that is going to allow this to lock the slide back into position as we go ahead and pull the slide back, and then it just pops into that little slot. Now there's also another little slot right there where this locking mechanism is going to allow us to unlock the slide from the lower. Okay, we just pull it back a little bit, push that button down, and we just let the whole thing slide forward, and it just slides right off, just like so. Okay, that's all we're going to do for that. This is not a complete disassembly. I'm not going to be messing with any of that because it's not necessary for just cleaning, basic cleaning it. Okay, next thing we're going to do is remove this spring, and the way that you do that, it's just locked into a little groove right here. We're just going to depress that spring in and allow it to come out of that little spot. Okay, So we're going to go ahead and remove this spring by pushing forward on it, and it's just going to lift right out of there. And most semi-autos, modern semi-autos, are exactly like this. And then the barrel just lifts sort of up, forward, and out, and that is it. That's the only disassembly you need to know in order to get this to a point where we can clean it thoroughly. Okay, so what I like to do before anything, so now that I've got it disassembled, I am going to take a Q-tip and take some of this gun cleaner. I really like this gun cleaner. It's a Hops Elite foaming gun cleaner. It doesn't stink like the other Hops classic gun cleaner does. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just start applying this. Actually, if you want to just squirt it in there, this foaming stuff's awesome. You just do that, move it around. What I'm doing is just getting it over all the surfaces inside there. You just want to work it down into all the nooks and crannies. With a Q-tip. That's how I like to do it. I know other people have their own ways. Everybody's got their own way of doing this stuff, but this seems to work best for me. So that's how I do it. Let that sit. Do the same thing with this. What's great about this is you can really just kind of aim it and just get a little bit here, a little bit there, and then go in with your brush or your I'm not really trying to get it clean. What I'm trying to do is just get the cleanser on all the parts to start working on the powder residue that's inside there. And hopefully I've got a good angle here where you can kind of see what I'm doing. But you just want to work it around and get it on all the parts, because that powder residue goes all the way down in there. It even goes up inside this magazine well. So you want to get that too. There's not going to be a lot of it down in there, but there will be some. And I guess it also depends on how much you fired. This particular time, I think I've probably placed, I don't know, about 500 rounds through it. So I decided, well, it's probably time to clean it. Next thing we want to do is we want to do the barrel. Give it a little squirt. And apply. I think the next thing I like to do is get out my brush. I recommend using this Clean Bore by Safariland. It's a black nylon brush and it's less abrasive to the barrel and the rifling inside the barrel, I highly recommend these nylon brushes over the old metallic copper brushes. Pop that on there, go ahead and give it another squirt, and then I'm just going to go ahead and push the brush through. You probably don't have to do this a couple times. I mean, cleaning a pistol is the easiest thing in the world to clean. Some people say to do what I'm doing and just push the brush through in the same direction that the bullet goes. I don't think it makes a lick of difference. I've cleaned guns my entire life and I've done it both ways, pushed it through, pulled it through. It doesn't really matter as long as the thing gets clean, and I don't think it does any harm to the rifling. But I'm sure everybody has their own opinion on that. Alright. And we'll come over here and get a patch ready. I like cleaning pistols. What I don't like is cleaning rifles, because it takes about 10 times the time to do it. But I love cleaning pistols because it's easy. Generally, if I'm moving quickly and not making a video, I can have this whole process done in 20 minutes, which is why I don't mind doing it. In fact, it's actually kind of nice to put some music on, have a cup of coffee, and clean away. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit for a couple minutes, and I'm going to come back with my toothbrush and I'm just going to add a little bit more of that. Give it a little scrub. Really, this is probably overkill for this, but it's a good way to get in anything heavy that's, if you've let it go for a while. I used to clean my guns every time I'd shoot them, and then I talked to a lot of people and they were like, you know, you really don't need to do that. But that was because I grew up around black powder, and black powder is highly corrosive, particularly on guns that are not blued. And so if you don't clean them right away, that black powder will eat that metal up. And so I used to clean those guns immediately, and I kind of just got in the habit of doing that, which is not a bad thing. But really, when you start shooting a lot, it kind of gets pointless to clean your gun and then go out the next day to shoot it again. Hence the reason I don't clean them as often as I used to as well. Alright, that's good. You might take the brush and go over this a little bit. It's not really that necessary. What I do mostly is with a, it's good to get down in these little channels here, where it's grooved on either side of the slide, which is what holds the slide onto the gun, or onto the lower. And it's good to go in there with a brush and just hit that, because stuff does get built up in there. But we're going to go over it again with some Q-tips in a minute, and then it'll be done. So we're just going to go in with our Q-tip again, and we're going to wipe it all down. Some people do this with a patch. I use a patch sometimes. And easier to get two spots, and I'll show you that in a minute. We're going to do that for the magazine well. down in those hard to reach spots with these Q-tips. That's what I love about them. And you know, you can buy a box of 1,000 of them for next to nothing, and it lasts a long time. This is all looking very good. That one's toast. Grab another. One of the things you learn as you shoot is the more you do it, the more you clean guns, the more you realize how hard it is to get them totally pristine. And I don't believe that you can. There's always going to be a little something somewhere. But the idea is to get it to a point where it's in good, serviceable condition, so that you don't have any problems. You don't want to run into problems when you really need this thing the most. So you get it as clean as you can get it. Alright, I think the lower is pretty much done. I'm going to take a patch and just with my finger go up inside the magazine well and wipe it down real good, and you'll see this thing's not going to come out white. It's going to come out gray. See, there you have it. So it's not as dark or dirty as the other spots, but like I said, it does go down in there. Go ahead and concentrate on the slide with this one last time. Hit it with a little bit more foaming cleanser. Cleaner. What is this stuff? It is it just says high performance technology. Cleans down to the pores. Removes carbon, lead, and copper, and it's scent free. Yes, they found a way to do it, folks. You're probably still supposed to do this in a well ventilated area. So that's something else I should have said at the beginning of the video. Make sure you do this in a well ventilated area. Because these chemicals can be harmful. A lot of times I like doing it outside, but it's raining outside today, so I'm making this video in my man cave. So this is looking pretty good already as well. I'm going to go ahead and start wiping it down. But we're going to go ahead and wipe it all down. It's looking really good, really clean. Spot you really want to get well is right here. It's hard to do this and do it for the camera, because you instead of just moving it around constantly like I normally do, I got to try to think about what I'm doing so I can show you. But basically, it's just common sense, folks. You just want to make sure you get in all the little spots where you know that the powder is going and the gases. I think the worst gun to clean is an AR-15. And probably a 1911. I've never actually cleaned a 1911, but I've seen it done. I've seen the total breakdown of one, and I would not want to do that. It doesn't look like something I'd be interested in doing. Now these grooves on the side are difficult to get to, but you can actually push a Q-tip down in there and get that thing squeaky clean. It's also good to take a patch. Actually, let me use this patch. That patch is totally clean. Now we'll use this one. Go ahead and wipe it down. Another good spot to get is around the end of the barrel, or where the end of the barrel would be, because the powder residue will be all over the end of this thing. So hit it with a little of that. Wipe the whole thing down on the exterior. It's a good thing. Just to keep the whole thing clean. And allegedly, this cleaner goes right down to the molecular level of the metal to clean it. And I believe it does. Just from what I've seen it do, it just cleans better than anything else I've ever used. A lot of people probably think videos like this are boring, but I actually enjoy watching other people's videos like this because it's almost hypnotic. And it's not because it's boring, I don't think. I think it has more to do with there's something about watching other people work. No matter what it is. Even if it's just watching somebody dig a hole. There's something about that. It makes you relax just watching somebody else work. It's like, wow, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But that guy's doing such a great job. I'm glad it's not me. Alright, clean. I hereby pronounce this gun clean. Alright, there's one other thing. Is the spring here. You can hit it with this. Hit it with the foaming cleanser, cleaner, cleanser, whatever you want to call it. Speaking of work, something I've always remembered from my childhood, probably middle school, was the definition of energy. The definition of energy is the ability to do work, and that's it. Anybody that remembers their very first science class should remember that definition. I don't know why, but that's always just been ingrained in my being. That having energy is the ability to do work. no matter what kind of work it is. Everything that you do is work. You get up in the morning to put your clothes on, that's work. Right? I think that's why, I believe that's why it's interesting to watch other people work. Let them expend their energy. Now, final sequence, oil. Take this same patch that I used earlier. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to take a new patch because we're moving on to oil. And take my cleaning rod. Pop that in like so. Now, Hops Elite Gun Oil. And I'm telling you what, it doesn't take much of this stuff. A couple drops. Or you can use the old standby Hops number 9. Alright, but today we're going to go ahead and use the Elite. And I'm going to go ahead and just pop a couple drops on there. Boom. Run it through my bore. Oh yeah. You can just feel the quality. And this is the only time you can really ever safely look down the gun barrel. Put it into the light, have a little look. Looks pretty good. Pretty clean. Some folks have those fancy bore lights. I don't have money for that. I do it the old-fashioned way. Just look into a light or look at the sun or in the general direction of a light source. Oh yeah, that is perfection. Actually, I might take a little bit. I feel like it's not getting on some of the rifling in there in a couple spots. I oil my guns pretty heavily. I think most people, most directions say, you know, you oil it and then you wipe it all down. I don't ever do that. I oil it and I leave it oiled. That's the whole point. It's supposed to protect it. That's how I roll. Alright, so we're going to leave a couple drops on here. This is like a old shaving brush of my father's. I will do that so that it's not too oily in there. Those are your inner parts, so you don't want that all gunked up with dust and hoo-ha. So we are going to take that and wipe that down. Alright, so now we're going to reassemble. Insert the barrel, like so. Just drops right in, nothing hard. Just drop straight in there. Push the barrel into the hole of the slide. Sorry, I don't know what all the technical names are. I don't worry about that stuff. Okay. We'll go ahead and pop our spring in. Let me wipe that down. Go ahead and wipe that, get the excess oil off of that, because that doesn't need excess oil. That's okay. The bore I always give a little extra oil. In fact, we might wipe wipe a little of the excess oil off of the outside of this, because I did overdo it a bit. Oh yeah, she's clean. Clean as a whistle. It's a beautiful thing. Alright, that, we're going to insert it into this end first, and we're going to push it in and down into that little groove right there. I don't know if you can see it. All the semi-autos I have are exactly the same setup. Alright, now we're going to take the slide, slide it right back on there, and what we're going to do is we're going to go all the way back and push up on that locking mechanism that locks the slide lock and locks it back into that position. That's it, you're done. Flip that around, lock and load, baby. Good to go. Clean. Call it good. Now I hit the outside with a coat of oil, because now it's going back into the safe. And there's nothing wrong with having it. I holstered mine in a neoprene holster before it goes back into the safe, and that kind of protects the whole thing. That's how I do all of them. Just the same. Look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Done. Get that hair out of there. Alright, and I'll show you my neoprene holster. We also need to clean our mag. And generally what I do is I find one of the wipes that I use to clean the barrel, and I just wipe it all down with that, because it'd still be wet. No sense in wasting another patch or wasting any more foam cleaning solution, and just wipe the whole thing down. You can take these apart, but I don't find that necessary. If you just do this, it generally takes care of everything. They do get dirty down in there, and I probably will eventually do a video on how to take them apart and clean it all the way out. But for now, we're just going to wipe it down like so, and that we will dry off. And you want to make sure you do that with all of your magazines, so to keep everything good and operational. Right? PMCS, Preventive Maintenance Checks and Service. Right? One of the original Army acronyms. Boom. And then I've just got this little Black Hawk $10 Blackhawk neoprene holster. I put it in there and it goes back in my safe. Cleanup, I like to take all my little dirty patches and dirty Q-tips, wipe these things, get the oil off of them so I can put them away. I'll take that brush and clean it out in the sink just to get the yucky off of it. Clean out your other brush as well. But then I'll take these and just bunch them up in my hand like this. Remove. Do the same thing over here, like so. Ball it up and throw it in the trash, and you're good to go. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you found this video to be helpful, please hit like and subscribe. Thanks and have a great day.